What's up, guys? It's your guy, Texas fan in rehab here, man. Coming back, finally able to shoot again. For a long time, I've been wanting to get some videos shot and put up. And man, I apologize, man. It's been a hell of a summer. It's been a hell of a lot going on with me, man. I've been struggling trying to get this thing put out. Matter of fact, I should have had this thing done and put out the other day, man. But stuff keeps happening, man. Unc keeps leaving his phone running on live. It's a lot of stuff that keeps popping up. Kendrick keeps dropping. Who knows, man? It's a whole lot of stuff that keeps happening and kind of delaying the process for me. I get down these rabbit holes of other things that I'm working on and constantly trying to come up with different creative things to do between, TikTok and here, man. But hey, regardless, I'm here, man. I want to cover what we saw last week on the Texans Week 1 game against the Indianapolis Colts, and then I'm gonna get into a little bit of what we got to expect this week against the Chicago Bears, man. But number one, got to give a huge shout out to the Texans, man. They put together a very gritty win this week, man. And listen, first and foremost, for the folks that saw my last video, let me just kind of give you a little context. It was an older video that I shot way back in May when the schedule was released, and of course, when I put that together, I was looking at things kind of pragmatically, and hey, I saw what I saw as far as the schedule was concerned, and I made the prediction, and I'll stand on that. I made the prediction that I expected the Texans to lose Week 1 because we had no expectations of what things were going to look like as far as the continuity of our team, all the new acquisitions and everything like that. I got roasted in the comments section, so I'll eat that. I'll take that. I gladly say I was wrong. You know what I'm saying? But first and foremost, like I said, got to give credit to the Texans for another gritty win. They played out of their socks, man. It was a tremendous effort for the team as a whole, from top to bottom, man. So I want to kind of get into it, do a little bit more than just some shout outs, get into some recognition about what we saw on the field, and of course what's happened in the post game era of what's been happening for the rest of the week. So like I said, I was wrong, man. It is what it is. I'm glad to see that things turned out the way that they did. A 29-27 victory. I think I probably had it predicted, like, I don't know, 28-21 the other way, but it is what it is, man. Hey, number one, I am glad to see that CJ has been able to stand on business on everything, all of the shit that he talked this offseason to everybody to their face and online and all the interviews or whatever. CJ was ready to stand on business. If you remember, EJ Speed and all of these guys from Indy, the feelings and the ego was hurt, man. And so they were ready to kind of put the smack down on CJ. They had been talking their noise back about how they were going to get it back. Well, CJ pretty much said, hey, man, you had your chance on the field. If you was going to do it right then. And you know what? He did it again, man. So between he and Nico Collins, they ran back what happened last year. They ran it back on the field again this time. So, we had a little early start where, we kind of came out. We was hitting on all cylinders, maybe not to the first drive exactly the way we wanted to. But overall, the guys kind of showed a lot of continuity. They were able to put a good drive together constantly. Bobby Slowick was doing his thing out there as far as calling good plays. They were executing well. We got to see for the first time what it looked like to have both Joe Mixon and Steph Diggs, not just like in preseason action, but in actual game time action, what that looked like. And man, listen, they represented very well, man. Stephon Diggs had 2 amazing touchdown catches, very timely for the second one because it was on a 4th down play, much needed at that point in the game. But Nico Collins had a lot of deep action going on. I mean, he caught a 58-yard touchdown. I'm sorry, not touchdown, 58-yard pass kind of early in the game. That was a very pivotal point because, AR was out there slinging it too, man. I mean, we didn't get a real chance to see everything that he was going to bring to the table last year because we only got to see him for a half in the first game that we played them last year. This time we got to see a little bit more of what he was able to do. But I'm going to tell you, man, AR is very hit or miss. For as strong of an arm as he has, for as elusive as he is, his accuracy still, leaves a little something to be desired. He's not consistent with his throws. It's just, there's something else that's still missing there. So, I don't regret the fact that we got CJ at all. I'm glad that we did. I think that Anthony Richardson has definitely something as far as talent is concerned. He's definitely got something that he's working with, but will it matriculate? Will it ever evolve into something that's going to be a true threat, something to what we saw akin to Andrew Luck or, even Peyton Manning? I don't know. But, we'll see how that offense, how that team puts things together. What I'm worried about more or less is this team right here. And like I said, what we saw on that field was tremendous. Like I said, I mentioned Steph Diggs. I mentioned Nico Collins. We had the three-headed monster there with the receivers, and I know that we were kind of concerned about, who's going to be the number one. I think it's still clear cut that Nico is the number one. Steph is probably the number two, and then Tank Dell is probably the number three. That's probably just kind of the shake of how everything worked out this time. I think that's going to fluctuate throughout the rest of the season. You're probably going to have games where Tank goes off, other games where Steph goes off. It just kind of depends on the situation and matchup. But it was real good to see how that played out on the field, man. I want to touch on a couple other things, man. Got to give a shout out to Kaimi Fairbairn, man. Kaimi Fairbairn had 3 field goal kicks of 50+ yards, man. That's like, it's amazing the feeling that you get when you know that you don't have to worry about the special teams unit, man. You don't have to sweat the field goal. You don't have to get like Gary Kubiak and turn your back and look the other way when the kick's going up to know whether or not it's going to be good. I mean, to know that we got a good, consistent kicker, man, that kind of gives us a little safe haven to know that we can go and execute those plays and not worry about special teams. And I'm going to come back to that in just a second here. But, got to give a huge shout out to Joe Mixon, man. Statistically, Joe Mixon performed very, very well, man. He had 159 yards rushing on 30 carries. That's a hell of a load, man. He also threw in 3 catches for 19 yards. I mean, tremendous production, outpouring of production from Joe Mixon. And most importantly, he did it when it mattered most. I mean, when we got down to crunch time and we needed to run that 2-minute offense out there at the end of the game to kind of close the game out, we were able to get that O-line. Those O-linemen, they manned up, man. As Steph Diggs said, they dropped their nuts on them. And they manned up and they got their thing done, man. They just proceeded to do like Beast Mode used to say and just hit them in the face over and over and over again, right? So it was cool to see, man. I was glad to see that was going to be the outcome of how that played out, that we were able to, to know that we could go out to them, to the offense and say, hey, we're going to run it down y'all's throat, pause. We're going to run it down y'all's throat and there's nothing y'all can do about it. Y'all going to know we're going to run it. We're going to know that we're going to run it, and we just got to man up and go get it, and they got it. And then it just can't be missed that there was a crazy execution of a fantastic play to Nico Collins. CJ threw a ball to the outside to Nico, man. I mean, when we needed that catch the most, Nico was able to make that catch and drag his knee, put his knee down and drag his foot. Everything that he needed to do to execute it being an actual catch, he was able to get that done, man. That was really, really dope. I mean, we had that same thing happen last year where there was a play in Indy, same side, CJ's fading away. He throws a pass out to the right side on the border, and, Nico comes out of nowhere and slides to come get it. So we definitely see Nico standing up, man. He's definitely representing, showing off his number one talent and ability, number one player, talent and ability out there on the field. So that was pretty good, man. So I'm going to touch on this real quick. There was a halftime mistake that I think may have gotten missed or may be misunderstood or misassessed by those fans of the team. I've heard some people coming down from time to time about how coach handled the time at the end of the end of the first half. Listen, man, that was a huge gaffe on the part of the refs. The refs had they had a couple play stoppages. There was a stop, a spike ball where things were kind of working kind of weird. They went back and reviewed the play. They overturned the play, took it back, and then turned around and said, okay, well, once we get the ball in place, we're gonna start the clock on my call. Well, at that point, the refs should have notified that to the sideline. He should have let the team know. Now, true, D'Amico and everybody has privy to the same video access or whatever. They could have made a decision to say, okay, let's get the special teams out there on the sideline just in case. Let's have them ready to go because we only got 5 seconds to execute. But in their defense, the referees did say we have 15 seconds on the clock. And then they turned around and reversed that and went back to 5 seconds. So the fact that they made that decision kind of quick turn and then didn't give the offense enough time to kind of change course on what they were doing. I mean, it was clear that CJ thought for whatever reason, CJ thought that they had more time on the clock. They went about a play that was intended to be executed on a longer span than just 5 seconds. So, hey, look, it's a learning curve for everybody at this point of the season. It's the first game. Thankfully, it didn't come back to bite us. You know, we don't have that to lean on to add to our Texans trauma. I heard that quote this week. I thought that was pretty live quote, a pretty accurate quote to, you know, all of the things that us as Texans fans have seen and experienced over the years where, you know, whether it be Rosencopter or any number of these plays that we could pull out our ass and say, you know, this is something that represents the downfall or the downside of what it feels like to be a Texans fan. It's pretty dope that, you know, you can kind of sum all of that up into one term, Texans trauma. But, you know, it's a very real thing, man. I believe in that. And so the fact that we didn't have to experience that in this moment in Indy and we could take home a strong win, that was tremendous, man. But now, got to give honors, man. The respect was given from the rest of the league. Joe Mixon earned Offensive Player of the Week. That's a huge honor that we got. You know, Joe Mixon, first year with the team. You know, of course he's a tremendous player already, but you know this is a huge reflection on what the offense looked like, what the O-line stood up for, and what they were able to execute down the line. And I mean, 159 yards on 30 carries. I mean, that's big time, man. So huge shout out to Joe Mixon on that, man. I hope to see him stand up and continue to do that kind of effort moving forward. Man, listen, what do we have to look forward to in this coming week? I mean, we got the Chicago Bears coming. We got Caleb Williams and his painted nails coming. Hope he has all the nails chipped. I think that, okay, so here's my personal opinion. I think that Caleb Williams is overrated. Yeah, I think that Caleb Williams is overrated because I think he's had a lot of talent around him, and he's true to form. He's got a lot of talent around him right now in Chicago, but I think that that overabundance of talent has allowed for him to kind of get away with a lot of stuff that he shouldn't otherwise get away with. I mean, a lot of his scrambles and all of that stuff that he got away with back in college or whatever, he was playing against lesser talent. Stuff like that in the league is not gonna fly. I think that a team like ours, that you know, the defense is quick, they're aggressive to the ball, they bring the swarm mentality. I think they'll be able to get to him on a more consistent basis. I know we only had 2 sacks this past week, and I say only, this is still a significant amount when you have Anthony Richardson. But Caleb Williams is not Anthony Richardson, you know what I'm saying? And so although they do have a good stock of wide receivers, decent run game and whatnot, their defense is really what I'm more worried about with Chicago. Now, that said, I do have us getting a win this week. And if you go back to that video, I had us with a win this week. Indy was probably the only outlier as far as a loss early on, but I do have us for a win this week against Chicago. I won't get into a score or anything like that on my prediction. I'll probably do that right before the game, but I fully expect that, you know, Chicago is going to bring their A game facing us here in town. I think that the fans, this is our first opportunity to show out for the team. They give us a little something to kind of get us buttered up and ready to go with the victory last week, and so we should be ready and present. And like everybody, I beg of you, if you go into the game, get there early, be in your seats, be loud, you know, give the team everything that they need so they can, you know, pour it on Chicago, man, and bring us another W, man, and start the season off 2-0, man. So I look forward to that, man. But I'm gonna keep it short this week. I'm glad to be back at this, man. I'm glad to be able to be back behind the camera again or in front of the camera again. Getting a lot of this stuff put together. I've tried to change some things up. I'm still working on it. Me and my daughter have been working on this type of thing, trying to get it up to speed. But you know, just trying to, as I'm going through my evolution in life, man, I'm trying to make sure that I cover all my bases in my personal life, and I still have time to kind of give a little something to you guys, man. So bear with me as I'm trying to go, man, but just understand and know that, you know, hey, I'm out there giving you everything that I got, man. I'm laid out there on the field. Until next time, man, Texas Fan of Rehab, I'm out.
All I ask is when you lay your head on that pillow at night, know I gave you everything I had.
You did.